Hello, and welcome to my French class. Today we're going to go over the alphabet. We're going to go over each letter and see how we're going to pronounce it. We're also going to look at combinations of letters and how those were pronounced. And we're also going to go over written accents. To start with the alphabet, I'm going to say each alphabet once in English, once in French. Then I'm going to say it in French again. And once I'm done with every single one of them, I'll go back from the beginning and I'll say from A to Z in French. So the reason why I'm going to do it 3 times is because normally 3 is a number that I like when it comes to repeating. So it tends to sink in after 3 times. So A is A. A is A. B is B. So B is B. C is C. C is C. D is D. D is D. E is E. E is E. F is F. That one stays the same. So F. G is G. G is G. H is H. H is H. I is E. So it's not like E, the E version of English. I is E in French. So E is E. I is E. J is J. J is J. K is K. K is K. L is L. That one stays the same. M is also M. That one doesn't change. And same thing with N. It doesn't change. It's the same thing as in English. So LMN is LMN. O is O. So it sounds the same. However, it's a little bit more dry. So instead of saying O is O. O, O. Slightly different. P is P. So P is P. Q is Q. Q is Q. R is R. So R is R. S is S. That one stays the same. So S. T is T. T is T. U is U. U is U. V is V. So V is V. W is W. So now W is W. So double V, but it's W, W. X is X. X is X. Y is Y. Y is Y. And Z is Z. Z, Z. So that's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So we're going to briefly go over the French accent marks. We have 5 in total. And after the French accent marks, I'm going to go over each letter and I will let you know how to pronounce it depending on the combination. So I'll also give you some more examples of accent marks when it comes to the per letter of explanation. So for the accent marks, we have 5 in total. The first one is accent aigu. Accent aigu is a forward slash on top of a letter. Accent grave is a backward slash on top of a letter. Accent circonflexe is a little hat on top of a letter. Tréma is 2 little dots on top of a letter. And cédille is used on C. And it's to give you a cue of not sounding it like a K, but reading it like an S, C. So français is not franquais, but it's français because it has a cédille. So let's start with the first one. Accent aigu. Accent aigu is a forward slash. You find it often on the E. So E with the forward slash makes the sound A. So E alone, E, is E. E with the forward slash on top of the letter is E. So E. Then you have accent grave. Accent grave is not a forward slash but a backslash on top of the E. You also find it on the A. So let's say, as an example of accent grave, the sound E. So E, E. These are different ways of saying the letter E. So depending on what accent I will be putting on, that will change the tonation of how I pronounce it. So circonflexe, that's a little hat on top of the letter. So you will find it on O. You will find it on E. There's a few letters that do use it. So être. So you don't want to say être, you want to say être. So you put the accent circonflexe on the E, and that'll make the sound être. As an example, on the A would be pot. So you don't want to say pat, you want to say pot. So you put an accent circonflexe on the A, and that would make the sound A. You also have tréma. Tréma is 2 dots on top of a letter. So when you see a tréma, it means that you have to emphasize the letter inside of the word. So as an example, coincidence, coïncidence. You don't say coïncidence, you say coïncidence. So how do I know to emphasize the I? Is with the tréma. So if I see the 2 dots on top of the I, I'll know to emphasize the letter I. So another example would be maïs. So you don't want to say maïs, you want to say maïs. Or naïve, naïf. So these are all combinations of where you will find the tréma, and that basically gives you a cue on which letter to emphasize when it comes to word pronunciation. So âge, pot, hôpital, rôti. These are all examples of accent circonflexe when it comes to the A, the O, and then coïncidence, naïve, maïs when it comes to tréma. E accent aigu, E. E accent grave, E. A normally is A, but if I have an accent grave on the A is A. So you emphasize the A. So this is a brief overview of the accents. We're going to go over them again as I give you examples of letters and combinations as we go down the alphabet. So let's start with A. So the letter A is A. If you have an accent grave on it, is A. And if you have an accent circonflexe on it, is A. So example, A in the beginning of a word, abeille, abri, acte, affaire. Accent circonflexe, pâte, âge, âté. Accent grave, à, là-bas, au-delà. So B, very straightforward, banque, bateau, beauté, branche. So EAU is O. EAU is O. And combination AU is also O. AN is en. We're going to go over the nasal sounds in a bit, but banque, bateau, beauté, branche. C with a CCD. So CE, CI, CY are pronounced like an S. Ce, si, si. Unless you have CO, CU, co, Q, CA, K. So co, Q, K. If you have a CCD with the CO, CU, CA is so, su, sa. So that's your cue to pronounce it like an S and not like a Q. That's what the CCD does. So again, français has a CCD because you don't want to say franquais. So sans, ENT is en. You don't pronounce the T at the end, so sans. Then you have cochon. CO is co. CH is sh. ON is on. So cochon. Français, reçu. Here's your bill, reçu. Your receipt. So not reçu, reçu. Or if you receive something. J'ai reçu un cadeau pour ma fête. So D, d'accord, dingue, défait. If you have a D at the end of the word, you don't pronounce it. So bâtard, you don't pronounce the D. You don't say bâtarde, you say bâtard. So, you have the letter E, accenté grave, accent aigu, accent circonflexe, and tréma. So, accent grave is accent aigu is circonflexe is a, so être, and tréma emphasizes the E. So, E with an accent aigu is ET is also ER is also A. In the future classes, we're going to know which ones to use which. I'll teach you that. However, it's good to know that ER at the end of a sentence is not R, is E. If you have the E by itself, it's E. So le, me, te, ce. If you have EPT is et. So set would be et. So a few examples. Erreur, leçon, set, détaché, balai, you don't pronounce the T at the end, so balai, grève. Because of the accent, you say grève. Branché, café, accent aigu at the end. Bête, Noël. So bête, because of the accent circonflexe. And Noël, because you don't want to say Noël, is Noël. So you emphasize the E, and that's how you know, by having a tréma on top of the E. So F, very straightforward, offrir,
affluence,
efficace, faire. AI is AIT is also so faire. LAIT is milk, so lait. G
can be pronounced hard or soft depending on which vowel follows it in a word.
If you have a G next to a vowel,
OU, A
is G. So golf, guerre, élégant. If you have a G that's next to a vowel,
IE
is J. So giraffe, gentil. So H. You don't pronounce the H if it's in the beginning of a word. So as an example, hiver, heure, histoire, hasard, haricot, honte. None of these you pronounce the H. So again, hiver, heure, histoire, hasard, haricot, honte. Then you have the letter I, so E. You have a tréma on the E or circonflexe, a little hat. So a few examples would be pitié, cinéma, pain beige, IM is un. So pain beige, IN is un, fin. Circonflexe, il, abîmé. You still pronounce it like an I, but it uses a circonflexe. And tréma, loïc, naïf. How do I know to pronounce the I more than the other letters? It's because of the tréma. So again, loïc, naïf. J, straightforward. Jabot, jeté, journal. K, straightforward. Kaki, kilo, koala. L, straightforward. Allô, laver, lentement, libre, local, lucam. If it ends with E, I-L-L-E is A. So oreille, feuille. Then you have a town, ville, I-L-L-E. The M, also straightforward. So flambeau, A-M is en. E-M is also en, like temps. O-M is on, ombre. Cambiste, A-M, cambis. Émotionné, mécanique, magnifique, musicalité. All of these are M's straightforward, just like in English. So for the letter N, you have nasally. So AN is en, EN is en, lapin, IN is un, so lapin, on, ON, UN, un, so one is un, lynx, LYN, lynx, nouvelle, nuage, nager, nil, négociation. Straightforward as well. So O, you have circonflexe. Sometimes we use a circonflexe like in the word rôti, hôpital. It doesn't change the pronunciation, but it does emphasize a bit more on the O. So rôti, hôpital. Up, ordre, obligé, straightforward O's. Then you have OE like œil, OI. like sœur. So EU is E. OEU is also E. SOEUR is sœur. Pneu for P, psychologique, psychologue, pantalon, peau, placide. P is very straightforward. Q, qualité, quand, AND, you don't pronounce the D at the end, remember? So, quand, que, QU is que, you don't say que, it's que. Lequel, as an example, or qui, you don't say qui, it's qui. Quotidien. Now for the R, it's not at the tip of the tongue and it's not at the end. R. It's not R, it's not R. It's somewhere in between. So it's right here where you say rouge. So moulin rouge. It's not rouge, it's rouge. So again, back at the throat, rouge. A few examples would be arrête, marron, rabais, réactif, riche, robe, ruban. ER at the end of the word is A, remember? So aller, noter, hiver. That's an exception because with winter, you don't say hiver, you say hiver. Same thing with fier. Then you have amour, notre. So now we're moving to the S. Salut, soleil, soif, situation. All you pronounce them as an S. If it's at the end of the word like d'hiver, you don't pronounce it. If it's one S in the middle of a word like poison, it's a Z. Sounds like a Z, poison. And if it's two S, you say son. So two S makes the sound S, poisson. So one's poison, which is poison, and the other word has two S and it's poisson, which is fish. T, table, techno, type. All have straightforward pronunciation of the T's versus if it's at the end. So vachement, you don't pronounce the T at the end. Chalet, you don't pronounce the T at the end. Inquiet, at the end of the word, you don't pronounce it. Like vert, the color green, you don't pronounce verte unless it's a woman, but vert, and it stops there. Vert, you don't pronounce the T. And again, unless if it's a feminine word. And for those, we're going to have future classes that will go over feminine and masculine and how to go about conjugating your word or changing your word to reflect the gender of the previous word that you're linking to. So feminine, masculine, we'll see them in the near future. But again, vert, if it's a masculine, such as a crayon is a guy, a car is a girl. So if it's a car, then you would say une voiture verte, and you would pronounce the T. If it's a green pen, the pen happens to be a masculine, then it's un crayon vert. So for the U, you have accent circonflexe, tréma, and accent grave. So ultime, UBAC, université, straightforward. Cube, nous. OU is où. So OU, où, where? Un ou l'autre, one or the other. How do I know which one am I using if they both mean two different things? OU by itself is or. So un ou l'autre, you don't have an accent. If you have an OU with an accent grave on the U, then it's where. That's how I know that it's not a question of pronouncing it differently. It's a question that it's a completely other meaning for a word that's written exactly the same. So with the accent, I'll know that it means where and not or. So feu, EU is E. So that's fire. Aussi, OU is O. Aussi. So another combination, aussi. And then V is straightforward, vache, vecteur, vie, vrai. So again, AI is est, lait, fait, vrai. W is also straightforward, like wagon, whiskey, most of the English words, but again, it sounds like English, so it's very straightforward as well. X, you have xylophone, xenophobie, so X is straightforward as well. And Y, you have stylisme, sympa, so YM is un, remember links? YN, sympa, YM is sympa. Symbole, YM again is un. EU is E, so yeux. You don't pronounce the X. Yoga. And then Z straightforward, zèbre, zest, zigzag, zone. So again, very straightforward. The Z sounds like it does in English. So this is an overview of how do you pronounce the alphabet, how do you pronounce accent marks, and how you pronounce combination of letters when it comes to the French language. So very important. Feel free to look over the video a couple of times and just practice at home. And practice makes perfect. And again, this is the very first stage, pronunciation of the alphabet and going over the sounds in French. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment. And if you liked it, please like, subscribe, share, and click on the notification button so next time I put out a video, you'll know that it's time for French class. I hope you enjoyed this class, and I'll see you on the next one. Merci beaucoup, et à la prochaine.